20 years from now, I can talk about Miami and being part of the best defensive unit in college football for the year 1981.
I came here when the program was down, and so did the rest of the seniors that we walked in here with. Our goal was to put them back on top.
Well, hopefully this season, coupled with the last season where we've now gone 18-5, is going to be the catalyst for us being able to bring in fine prospective student athletes from across the country and really establish this program over a long period of time.
The goal of the 1981 Miami Hurricanes and Coach Howard Schnellenberger was epitomized in 2 words: reaching higher. A simple phrase, an imposing challenge. In 1980, Miami had gained national attention with a 9-3 season and a thrilling win in the Peach Bowl. But the 81 squad was not content to rest on past achievements. They wanted more. It mattered not that the 81 schedule was the toughest in the nation. So what if 8 of their opponents had been in bowls the year before? In 3 years as head coach, Howard Schnellenberger had brought championship football to Miami, and in the process had given the Hurricanes a rare sense of pride and poise. Obstacles both on and off the gridiron would not deter them. The Hurricanes knew where they were going, and by season's end, so did the rest of the nation. The challenge of reaching higher became reality. Miami was established as a national football power and moved one step closer to its ultimate goal, a national championship. The Hurricanes opened the 81 season at home in the historic Orange Bowl. 73,000 fans, the 3rd largest crowd in Miami history, witnessed the 43rd clash between Miami and the University of Florida. The Gators, still smarting from last year's 31-7 rout by Miami, were determined to halt a 3-game losing streak to the Canes. But in a dramatic come-from-behind victory, Miami would unveil all the successful components that led to its 2nd consecutive 9-win season. The precision passing of quarterback Jim Kelly and the sure hands of Larry Brodsky, Rocky Belk, and Mike Roderick. Clutch kicking by senior Danny Miller, an All-American who thrived on pressure situations. All-American Lester Williams spearheaded a ferocious assault by the defensive line that swamped the Gators' ground attack. And a ball-hungry secondary led by yet another All-American, Fred Marion, gobbled up 4 Gator passes during the afternoon. Florida had jumped out to a 14-3 lead at the half. But the Hurricanes came roaring back with an 82-yard touchdown drive to open the 3rd quarter. Jim Kelly's 1-yard plunge behind tackle Frank Frazier had the Orange Bowl rocking. But the joy of the Miami faithful quickly turned to anxiety when number 12 was injured on the Canes' next possession. Now it was Florida's turn to surge, and despite the efforts of the defense, the Gators maintained their lead into the 4th quarter. But then the Gators were shocked by the lightning-quick scoring punch of the Miami offense. Mike Roderick reversed on a reverse to turn a certain loss into a 15-yard gain. Moments later, quarterback Mark Richt delivered a shot to Rocky Belk, and the junior speedster mowed it into the end zone for a touchdown that cut Florida's lead to 20-18. Then, with less than 90 seconds to go, Richt displayed the poise of a true veteran as he threaded the needle to Glenn Dennison for one of the most crucial completions of the year. But suddenly the Miami drive was stopped, and it was 4th and 14 with 45 seconds remaining. The stage was set for perhaps the most dramatic field goal in Miami history. But it was a kick that almost didn't happen.
This was going to be our last shot with the ball, and we were all talking about what play we should run, and we had decided, I think, with a halfback short option or some pass play.
I thought the whole time he was thinking about going for a field goal, but apparently he was deciding on which pass play to run. So finally, about the time the timeout was almost over, I asked him if we were going to, go for it or if we were going to kick a field goal, and he said that we were going to go for a pass. So right then I told him I could make it. He said, "How far is it?" And I said, "It's only 55 yards.
I looked at him and said, "You can't kick that, can you, Dad?" He says, I can kick it through there, Coach." I said, "Are you sure?" He said, "Yes." And then I said, "Go ahead."
I knew as soon as I hit it that I hit it good, and also could tell that I'd pulled it just a little bit left. So I knew it was going to be close, and I knew I'd given it a good shot. It's just that I couldn't hardly believe that after it all happened that it hit the upright. After that, everything happened so quick, and it just kind of became a dream-like situation where everything just was like almost unreal, like a dream come true.
For Florida, it was more like a nightmare. Danny Miller's 55-yard field goal gave Miami its 4th straight victory over the Gators. And it fueled a growing belief that winning football in the Sunshine State is synonymous with the Miami Hurricanes. The Hurricanes' excellence on the gridiron reflects the overall attitude of the university. At Miami, superior performance is the norm in every field of endeavor.
A great football team and a great university are entirely consistent goals. The football here, I think, is in a kind of a balance that's a healthy balance between the important work of young people who are here as students and the necessity in a big institution like this to have fun, to play hard, to do what we do well and with high quality and high striving, and that team symbolized all of that.
The entire nation saw a perfect example of that striving on October 31st, when the undefeated #1 ranked Nittany Lions of Penn State invaded the Orange Bowl. Miami had racked up 4 wins, but had suffered 2 close, heartbreaking defeats. State, on the other hand, had dominated its 6 previous opponents, averaging 36 points per game and over 440 yards of total offense. Besides this statistical edge, there was an even greater challenge. No Miami team had ever defeated a #1 ranked opponent. But on this memorable afternoon, Miami fans and over 15 million viewers across America would witness what was later described as the greatest gridiron victory in Miami history. State's #1 ranking would crumble in a brutal struggle that featured a determined Hurricane defense that stopped the Lions' offensive machine dead in its tracks.
We hold them for 3 downs and they don't gain any yardage. And you start feeling a little bit better, and then in the next series you do it again, and next thing you know, you got Nelson and Lester and everybody cussing us for him. "We're going to get him in 3 plays. Let's get out of here and go sit down." "Okay, boys, let's do it and get it over with." And we just started building up to a point where we expected to shut them down all the time.
We felt like they couldn't get in to make a touchdown. The least they could get was a field goal.
We had to deal with our defense every day in practice, and we knew what other people were having to go through. I mean, if you're getting 5-yard runs or 4-yard runs, you're taking a physical beating to get it.
State's vaunted rushing attack, ranked 3rd in the nation with 308 yards per game average, could manage only 69 yards on the ground against the tenacious Hurricane defenders. The splendid play of Lester Williams, Bob Nelson, Tony Chickolo, Tim Flanagan, and Isaiah West caused ABC's Keith Jackson to declare, "This is the best defensive front in college football today." The Canes offense got off to a quick start when Chris Hobbs turned a short screen into a 12-yard gain to set up the first of 2 first-half field goals by Danny Miller. A dramatic 80-yard touchdown pass to Larry Brodsky illustrated the difficulty of stopping Miami's aerial attack.
The play was called Pocket 58 as East Formation, meaning right. It was designed to go back to Mike Rodriguez, but as I read the coverage, Mike wasn't open and Larry ran a good pattern. I was looking to the left, and the coverage was a different coverage. They had it covered good. I turned back, and Larry was right there, and I threw it. Larry made a great catch on it. He made a great move on the defensive back, and he just outran the rest of the defenders.
Larry really wanted that touchdown. He was not going to be stopped. I think the guy hit him on the 3-yard line, and he dove into the end zone and carried him in.
The thing about him, he outran him for about 15 yards. The guy had the angle on him, but he...
Well, Larry can run when he's scared now. If he's scared, he's going to run.
Brodsky's 80-yard catch made him the most prolific receiver in Hurricane history. Jim Kelly found Mike Rodriguez all by himself in the end zone for a successful 2-point conversion, and Miami closed out the half with a 14-0 lead. State threatened twice in the third quarter, but each time Fred Marion snuffed out the Lions' hopes for a touchdown. Then, at the beginning of the final quarter, State committed its costliest turnover when the long arms of Tony Chickolo engulfed a loose pigskin. Once again, it was Miller time. A 17-0 lead delighted the howling Hurricane fans. But when State scored 2 quick touchdowns, it was the Miami coaching staff who began to howl. The defense responded with a valiant game-saving performance. Once again, it was Tony Chickolo who pounced on a loose ball to halt a State drive deep in Miami territory. Then, with less than 2 minutes remaining and a national audience on the edge of its seat, it was Fred Marion's turn to step into the limelight with a helpful nudge from linebacker Scott Nicholas.
Thanks to Scotty, he tipped the ball when the man dropped back to throw the ball, and I was able to come up with the tip. And
that was probably the most picturesque football picture we had during the whole year, where Fred makes the interception on his knees and then raises his hands up in the sky. That was signal to the end of that game.
But while the team was basking in the glow of the Canes' greatest victory ever, a major storm was brewing on the horizon. Miami would face an obstacle off the gridiron that would challenge it in a way that no opponent ever could.
It was after that game that things really got hairy for us, and we had a major disappointment, the announcement that we couldn't go to the bowl game, and we had a major chore on our hand. We had to go up to Tallahassee and play Florida State, and I thought that was really the catalyst that set this season apart from any other season, that you guys were able to gather yourselves up after that announcement, turn adversity into an advantage.
The Miami win at Florida State could be charted with a list of plays and a mass of statistics. but there is no column in the record books for the intangibles that define a winner. Character, determination, and pride are spiritual qualities that are seldom noticed when times are good. But in moments of crisis and emotional letdown, they are what sustain a champion. The '81 Miami squad faced its moment of truth on November 7th in Tallahassee. The result was an inspired Hurricane victory that was conceived in the playbook, but executed from the heart. Jim Kelly unleashed an aerial barrage, destroying the Seminole secondary with pinpoint precision passing. Kelly connected 22 times, setting a new single-game completion record for himself. Mark Rush hurled his body into the end zone for one Miami touchdown, while teammate Smokey Roan used strength and quickness for another. Danny Miller loosened up with a 32-yard field goal in the first quarter, then nailed the uprights with a 57-yard blast in the third quarter to set a Miami record for longest field goal and turn the momentum in the Canes' direction. The Hurricane defenders provided their usual brand of mayhem. Once again, Scott Nicholas served up his specialty, a tipped pass that spun into the waiting arms of Ronnie Lippett. Ronnie's fourth quarter interception set up Miami's winning touchdown. Jim Kelly lobbed a pass to Speedy Neal in the flat, and the big fullback displayed his unique style of broken field running. Thrilling finishes were becoming a trademark of the '81 season, and this game was no exception. The Seminoles had a chance to tie it in the closing seconds, but Ronnie Lippett turned a touchdown pass into an incomplete with a heart-stopping play in the end zone. The Miami victory shattered a 4-year home winning streak for the Seminoles, and it gave the Canes the Sunshine State Championship for the second consecutive year. But of greater significance was what it said about the character of the '81 squad. They were much more than just a group of talented athletes. They were a team in the truest sense of the word. A bright South Florida sun warmed the Orange Bowl for the final game of the year. Miami fans of all ages convened on the day after Thanksgiving for a second round of feasting. On this final day of glory, the Hurricanes would devour their opponent with the most complete victory of the '81 season. Once again, the national audience would be tuned in on ABC, and this time they would see the Canes take on the Fighting Irish of Notre Dame. In years past, the Irish had enjoyed the upper hand, but that advantage was about to come to a screeching halt.
The University of Miami had not beaten Notre Dame since 1950. The university had only won one game against Notre Dame in the long tradition, the long rivalry that they've had. And I think everybody prepared for that game, knowing that it was going to be the last game for the seniors that they would play, and really finish the season with the finest football game that we've ever put together since I've been here.
This was the last game of the season, and we didn't have anything to look forward to but to go out like champions, and I think that everyone on that day was willing to give that 100%, and we pulled off the victory.
Larry Brodsky had caught a pass in 29 consecutive games, and on the Canes' first possession, he extended his record-breaking streak to 30 on a 44-yard bomb that sparked an 80-yard touchdown drive by Miami. Mike Rodriguez, in a surprise appearance at his old position of quarterback, caught the defense napping and scampered in untouched to complete the drive.
They had the bad fortune to run into us at the last game of the season when we were rolling. Nobody was going to stop our offense that day. It didn't really matter who you were bringing in.
Superb pass protection by Mark Cooper, Mike Moore, Don Bailey, Clem Barbarino, and Frank Frazier allowed the rifle arm of Jim Kelly to rip the Irish secondary to shreds. 264 yards of aerial real estate and 2 touchdowns brought Kelly ABC Player of the Game honors for the 3rd time in 1981. By game's end, Jim had become the all-time passing leader at Miami, outdistancing the legendary George Myra. Danny Miller completed his career in typical fashion as he launched 3 field goals to put the finishing touches on 16 school records, including the all-time scoring mark for the Hurricanes. The Miami defenders were equally impressive. The ground-oriented attack of Notre Dame never left the starting gate. Irish runners spent most of the afternoon moving sideways in a vain attempt to outflank the Canes' defensive line, a line that would yield only 53 total yards on the ground. Going to the air was even worse. Throwing into the Miami secondary was like tossing raw meat to a pack of hungry wolves. Errant passes were quickly converted into costly turnovers. A staggering 30-6 halftime score had the Hurricane faithful on their feet, and the Notre Dame coaches frantically searching for answers. Answers they would never find. David Jefferson put the final nail in the Irish coffin with a perfectly timed interception in the closing minutes to set up the last Miami score. A 13-yard touchdown gallop by Keith Griffin. Miami's 37-15 win was a total team victory and a fitting climax to the 1981 season.
Ending up the season 9-2 is a real tribute to this football team and to all the people that are around it and who made it up. And it's something that everyone can take with them, something that they'll have for the rest of their lives, and something that I'm very personally proud of, and something that we as a team now have to build on and try to improve from.
A national ranking in the top 8 was the final accolade for the Hurricanes. But 1981 will be remembered as a year when a team set a goal for itself to reach higher. And in reaching higher, they dug deep into their hearts to produce one of the finest football seasons in Miami history.
I'm very proud of this film, as I am the University of Miami football team of this past season. I think this football team has matured and has developed so that our program now is of a national caliber and one in which we can be proud of for many years to come. There are many people that have been instrumental in making this transition possible. Sunbank of Miami has been very instrumental in not only bringing this film to you, but in many activities here in the athletic department. I feel very good about the strong commitment that the university has gotten from the community, not only in the increase in season ticket sale, but in total attendance, but really the enthusiasm and spirit that's been generated and the genuine affection that the people of this area have for our football team. I'd like to take this opportunity to thank Sun Banks of Florida for making this film possible. You know, the last 3 years of football here at the University of Miami have been the most exciting and the most productive ever in the history here at the University of Miami. People like Sun Banks and other members of the community have really helped us make this thing happen. I'm looking forward to the continuation of the relationship so that we can strive even harder to become the very best program in America.
I'm getting an interesting reading on the scope. I've got a major tropical storm over Miami. Confirm, please.
Computer reads it coming in very fast, very fast. Looks like a maximum magnitude force. Preliminary red alert. I repeat, red alert. Looks like a full-scale hurricane.
All right, men. Better alert the Coast Guard, the national media, and the entire Miami area. Let's buckle up, fellas. This hurricane is going to make history. It looks like we're tracking a champion.
4 historic years ago, a football force of hurricane strength was first sighted here. It intensified, growing stronger with each victory. And each year, it swirled with excitement and drama never seen before. Now the University of Miami Hurricanes enter a new era, strengthened by success. Still surging toward that national championship goal of head coach Howard Schnellenberger, his team, and Hurricane fans throughout the nation. In Miami, they are tracking a champion. Senior quarterback Jim Kelly will always remember the first magic moments of Miami's rebirth. The upset of Penn State in 1979. A proud win over FSU in '80. The domination of Florida. And a Peach Bowl championship. Rocky Belt remembers 1981 and that year's wins over Penn State and Notre Dame. And Tony Chickalo remembers most of all that 9-2 season. Throughout the past 4 years, Hurricane fans watched a parade of victories at the Orange Bowl. 20 wins and only 2 losses. They relished Miami's rapid rise into the nation's top 20 as the Canes won 9 of 11 network television appearances. The boosters rallied and pride soared as the South Florida community embraced a new sense of unity. Most of all, the fans thrilled at a dominating defense that produced 3 first-team All-Americans, Jim Burt, Lester Williams, and Fred Marion. And they thrilled at a style of play that from 79 to 82 set a new total offense record nearly every year. Entering 1982, the Hurricanes were led by several veterans of Miami's football revival. Kelly at quarterback. On the offensive line, Don Bailey, Bill Welch, John Canine, and Mark Cooper. And all-purpose runner Mark Rush in the backfield. As the home season began against the University of Houston, Miami's defense, which had dominated Penn State and Notre Dame the year before, was starting youngsters, where 6 3-year lettermen once played. Senior leaders made certain Miami's defense remained a unit to be feared. Tony Chickalo, Ronnie Lippert, Greg Brown, Greg Zappala, and Isaiah West were the cornerstones on the gutty defense. Then there was number 14, Jamie Boone, who excelled at 4 spots in the secondary and returned punts and interceptions. The defense helped celebrate 7 Hurricane victories last year, including a solid one over Houston. But as Miami's quarterback left the Orange Bowl that day, who could have known it was for the last time?
I never even imagined me getting hurt. That was probably the last thing I would have thought. When you look over it all, you think of how much people really put their mind into it after I did get hurt and put their hearts into it, saying, you know, we got to do what we have to do. We have to make the Miami program as strong as it can be.
A separated shoulder had stopped Kelly's college career too soon. But his stylish guttiness and inspiration stayed with the team while he stepped quietly aside. Enter Mark Richt. Into a sea of pressure, into an ocean of responsibility, into a new world of Hurricane football, still seeking the same goal, victory. But now that would take something extra, something special.
If someone was injured, that left more people that had to pick up the slack, and we couldn't rely on Jim Kelly's big plays, and we had to, the other 10 people had to pick up the slack so we could accomplish our goal. It also meant that it came time when people really had to be sure of what their feelings were towards this program and towards the feeling of the university. We knew that we had to dedicate ourselves and everybody give 100% all the time for us to come out with a winning season.
At 4:02 on the afternoon of September 25th came the first test, Michigan State.
I remember a lot of things from that game, but I remember most that it was probably our most physical game. And I also remember that we went through a lot during the entire game, and it came down to a last-minute touchdown to win the game for us. I think the reason that we were able to do that dates back to 1979, to be truthful. We came out here and we went through 3-a-day practices. We were running at 6:30 in the morning. We came and then we would practice again, and we'd have a break, and then we'd practice again, and we had meetings. I think that instilled in us a lot of mental toughness, and I think that's what was needed to win the Michigan State game. I knew that at some point during that game that we had the physical strength and the mental toughness to come out of it a winner.
But coming out a winner was not easy. Michigan State led 21-18. 1 minute, 4 seconds remaining. 4th down, goal to go. 4th down, last chance for victory. It had been Miami's first game without Jim Kelly. It could have been a setback. Instead, it became another step forward for a football program that has suddenly become one of the nation's best. For both the university and its Hurricanes, a wave of progress continues to be directed on the football field by Howard Schnellenberger and on the entire campus by President Edward T. Foote.
The strength of both football program and university is a deep strength. And there's a sense of momentum and continuity that will survive and indeed, to use Faulkner's distinction, prevail over the inevitable setbacks that come in any human institution as in any human life.
the Hurricanes have met their challenges with a strength and commitment that began to grow 4 seasons ago. It appears in a fury. It strikes suddenly, once, then again. And it endures as new names take over. Brophy, Bellinger, Fitzpatrick. But one name stays the same, Schnellenberger. And the system remains one of college football's most dynamic, poised, proud, productive. And one more thing stays the same, winning. Senior speedster Rocky Belk and his teammates won more games over a 3-year period than any Miami team ever had. They used old ways, then found new ones. And in 1983, there is even more on the way.
If this team played the way they're capable of, I think this could be the best football team ever here next year. Because I just think they have a lot of guys who want to do it and a lot of, talent that's just out of this world. And if they all put it together and, go out there, I think they can be a great football team.
One thing is certain. In 1983, Miami will start a strong, tall, but very youthful quarterback. It may be Vinny Testaverde, a 6'4" sophomore from Elmont, New York. His only game experience came against NC State last year when he completed 5 passes, including a touchdown to Andy Barada. The quarterback of the future may be Bernie Kosar, a 6'5" redshirt freshman from Boardman, Ohio. Or 6'3" Kyle Vanderwind may take charge. The sophomore from Palm Beach Gardens started the final 3 games of the season. Calmly leading the Hurricane offense, he completed 60% of his passes. But only one of the 3 will start in September. Not long ago, another quarterback emerged from the competition to become number 1.
I give them the advice to do the things that you got to do to be a quarterback, to try to be the best. And I'd say help each other out. That's a big thing. If you help him out, he's going to help you out. And by, helping each other out, you're only going to get better as a quarterback.
Now, as they set out on a search for greatness, 3 young Miami quarterbacks find the road already well marked, with records and with dreams that were realized. And the overall vision of a championship at Miami becomes clearer with each season of success.
I really feel that the young kids that have played here, particularly the seniors of this past year, have set a standard of excellence that the newcomers and the young people will be striving to follow. And I'm very confident that the program here at the University of Miami is now on solid ground. And regardless of the small setbacks that we might have along the way, that we'll be able to maintain this level of excellence over a long period of time. Year after year after year, we can be up there with the very best and striving to become the best team in America.
Four thrilling years ago, Miami set out on its quest for the very summit of college football. After only 2 seasons, the Hurricanes had already traveled to bowl game heights, where the nation began to notice their climb. The next 2 years demonstrated the continuity of the program and brought a top 10 finish as Miami achieved national prominence. Now the challenge continues as new leaders step forward to take Miami to the top. On defense, Brophy, Bellinger, Robinson, Fitzpatrick, and Eddie Williams. On offense, Dennison, Davis, Neal, and Griffin. The tracks they are making now are the tracks of a champion.